Hello there, and welcome to my first Kody B's Corner, a series of interviews hosted by the founder and CEO of Sendout Cards, Kody Bateman. Kody's guest today is Dr. Ivan Misner, the founder of Business Networking International. These are two individuals who have inspired thousands upon thousands of small business owners and salespeople across the globe. Before we begin, may I ask you a thoughtful question? As a small business owner, what keeps you up at night? Could it be that if you had a means of retaining your current customer base and gleaning more lifetime clients, would you sleep better? Well, that's what Kody and Ivan have spent their life helping others do. And today, they're going to share two golden tips that you can begin practicing right away to refine your networking efforts. So let's begin where Kody and Ivan are discussing the culture of BNI and why it's so successful in its approach.
We get together every week, and our sole purpose is to build relationships and pass each other referrals. Our principal core value, we have 7 core values, and I think that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture is so important in an organization, and I know Sendout Cards has a fantastic culture. I had the opportunity to speak at one of your conventions, and wow, I do so many keynotes. And they're really mercenary. You go in, you do your thing, and you leave. But I really felt like I was with a lot of people, a lot of friends. I mean, it was a great experience for me.
Thank you.
I think culture is so important. In BNI, our principal core value is givers gain. If you want to get business, you have to be willing to give business to other business professionals. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a way to build a solid foundation for a long-term business.
So, I recall the old days going to those networking events and everybody's collecting business cards and everybody's there, like you mentioned, to get business. And when you started this in 1985, you simply, what I love about your foundational philosophy is how simple it is. You just flip-flopped it. You said, look, we're not here to get business. We're here to give business. And then allow the law of reciprocation to take care of itself. Personally, my humble opinion, I really believe that's one of the key reasons for your massive success is that giver's gain driving philosophy is phenomenal. So congratulations for that. Really.
Thank you. We don't teach this in colleges and universities. We don't teach networking, referral marketing. And so what happens is people, they just go out, they start trying to build their business, and they go right into sales mode. And they use networking as a face-to-face cold calling opportunity instead of a relationship building opportunity, which is what it should be if it's done right.
Now, you told me a story just in our little pre-show. You told me a story about you just recently spoke at an event.
Yeah.
You asked a key question. It kind of relates to what we're talking about. Can you share that with us?
I did. I spoke in London. It was a little while ago, and there were about 900 people in the audience. And I asked everyone there, and it wasn't an industry event. So there were 900 people, and they were probably from 500 different professions, many, many different professions. And I asked them, I said, how many of you are here today hoping to, maybe just possibly sell something? Kody, I had 900 people raise their hand. I said, okay, second question. How many of you are here today hoping to, maybe just possibly buy something? No one raised their hands. Not one single person. This is what I call the networking disconnect. People show up at networking meetings wanting to sell, but they're not there to buy. And that's why you go to meetings sometimes and you feel like you need a shower afterwards because everyone's trying to sell to you.
Now, you have a book titled Networking Like a Pro. I'd like you to talk a little bit about that because in that book, you really talk about these philosophies and tell all kinds of stories. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So the first edition of the book is out now, but the second edition is coming out in just a few weeks. And I can tell you the page on the second edition. This is the book, by the way. This is the second edition, Networking Like a Pro. I think you can do advance orders online. But here's the thing. Is on page 202, I talk about Sendout Cards. And I have mentioned send-out cards in probably 4 or 5 of my books. And the only reason I keep doing that is I think it's a fantastic product. And it's perfect for building networking relationships. And so our topic today is the follow-up. And it's in that follow-up that I highly recommend send-out cards.
Excellent. So yeah, the topic is follow-up. That's per your request, is you really want to discuss the keys to follow-up. In fact, you had mentioned that there's what I like too about you is you do all kinds of I call them smart people studies. You're a smart people study guy, and you do a lot of studies on stuff. 7 top characteristics of a great networker. Can you share with us a little bit about what that is?
Well, I surveyed about 34, almost 3,500 people from all over the world. They weren't just BNI members; it was open to the public. And I asked them, "What do you think the top characteristics of a great networker were or are?" By the way, almost all of them were relational oriented, and almost all the characteristics of the poorer networkers were very transactional. So one of the top 7 follows up. That someone who is good at networking is somebody who knows how to follow up effectively. And I thought that, plus the fact that I mentioned send-out cards in this follow-up section, is a great topic to talk about, because if you want to build a relationship, it has to start somewhere. And where it starts is you make that first meeting, you meet somebody, and now you got to follow up and connect with them again. And so I think that this is a perfect topic for the beginning of building relationships.
Excellent. And speaking of, you have a system known as the 24/7/30. I think this is a great time to talk about that, because you get into the core of how to create a relationship. It's called the 24/7/30 system. I know you talk about that in your book. Can you just share a little bit of that with us right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So 24/7/30. If you can just remember that, it's pretty easy to remember what you should be doing. Within 24 hours, you meet somebody at a networking event. You go to a chamber event, or maybe you're at BNI and maybe you're visiting a BNI, or maybe you're a member of BNI and somebody visits, and you want to follow up with them. Within 24 hours, I say reach out to them and touch them. Just connect. Just say hi. A great message might be, hey, it was really nice meeting you at that event yesterday. I enjoyed what you said about your meeting, or I enjoyed our discussion. I hope our paths cross again. Something simple. Now listen to me. Don't sell to people yet. Don't do that. All too often people, they follow up and it's immediately, hey, I've got a great business opportunity, or I have some products that you might be interested in, or whatever. Look, it happens when you go to networking meetings. You will run into people who want your product or service. But that's not what networking is about. Networking is more about farming than it is about hunting. It's about cultivating relationships. So you want to just make a connection. You just want to say hi. And so one of the best ways to do that, and this is where I talk about it on page 202, send a send-out card to someone. Because I'm horrible at doing handwritten notes, but send-out cards is a great way to connect with people. Email works, but it's impersonal. Getting something through the mail is like so old school. Nobody does it. You'll stand out. Send them something and just tell them it was nice meeting them. That's the 24. You want to hear the 7?
Yeah.
So the 7's kind of interesting. 7 is that within 7 days, you connect with them on social media. But here's the thing, and here's the interesting part, is that you got to connect with them where they are, not where you are. And I learned this from my kids. Matter of fact, just today, Entrepreneur.com published an article that I did on the 24/7/30, and they tell this story about how my kids taught me something about networking. And here it is quick. My eldest daughter, at one point, when she moved out, I would call her on my phone. She never answered. But I learned that if I texted her, she'd respond immediately. So okay, I'll text her. My next daughter, she didn't know that the phone actually had an earpiece. I never talked to her on it. And texting was so old school. But my wife told me, look, connect with her on WhatsApp. and she'll respond to you. And I'm like, I don't even know what WhatsApp is. But I downloaded WhatsApp so that I could connect with her and have her respond. Then my son, my youngest, he didn't know how to use a phone, didn't like texting. And of course, email, forget about all of them. But he's an online gamer. So I found out he was on this game called Steam, which was online and had an instant messaging feature. So I actually downloaded Steam because I could message my son and say, hey buddy, what are you doing with this or that? And he'd respond immediately, but he wouldn't respond in any other way. Now here's why I'm telling you this story. You want to connect with people in 7 days. It doesn't matter where you hang out. It matters where they hang out. If you want to build a relationship with them, you got to learn how to sell and to network effectively. And that means you need to be where they are. And so find out if they're active on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter and connect with them in 7 days. And by connect with them, I mean comment on their posts. Give some feedback, make it positive, and just every now and then, not every day, not 10 times a day, but periodically just touch them, okay? So that's 7. Oh, and don't sell to them, okay?
Everybody getting the message. Everybody getting the message. So.
It's like, I think people sometimes have sales Tourette's.
Yeah.
They just can't stop themselves. It's just, they blurt it out. 30. Within 30 days, reach out to them. Now here, you could call them, or you can send another card and say, hey, it was great meeting you a month ago. I've been following some of the things that you've done online, really found this interesting or that interesting. And I'd love to meet with you and learn more about what you do. And if you have some time, maybe you can learn about what I do. And set up an appointment where you can sit down with them, have a one-to-one, and this is the beginning of the relationship building process. And don't forget, whatever you do, don't sell to them, even now. Give it some time. Look, if they want your business, they'll tell you. But even a blind squirrel can find a nut. You can stumble over the business.
Ivan, I think part of the challenge with a lot of new people coming into business, or even old school people that have done business a certain way for many years, the disconnect they have with what you're saying right now, it's solid foundational philosophy that works wonders, but a lot of people hesitate because what I've noticed is that people are looking for the home run. Like, yep. It's like I met somebody and by golly, they are my ticket. And so it becomes this, I'm going to chase that person until I hit the home run versus just consistently creating relationships over time and allow the home run hitter to show up naturally. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. You're absolutely right. And I just did an interview with Inc.com, and we talked about this very topic. And if you do a search on Inc., the topic is, I think in the title, it's called Networking Up, where you're trying to find that home run. And I'm here to tell you, it's even worse to try to sell to them. So let's say you're talking to somebody who's really successful. They are the person you want. And when I have people do with me all the time, is this, well, it never hurts to ask, right? Wrong. Totally wrong. Completely wrong. If you ask before there's any kind of relationship, you got to know, like, and trust people. And if you have no relationship and you ask them, not only are they going to tell you no, you have now lost any opportunity to possibly do business with them in the future. Check out that Inc.com article, and I promise you, I give you very specific. When I met Jack Canfield, the Chicken Soup for the Soul author, this is what I did. When I met Richard Branson, this is what I did. And I give very specific examples about what you want to do so that you can connect with them again. Because they're bombarded with people trying to sell to them. Bad idea.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's a matter of just transitioning your mind to think exactly opposite, even of what you've learned in business school. Like you said, this stuff is not taught in your business schools today. It's kind of funny. I had a gentleman that was speaking at one of our events a while back, and both of us are really ingrained in the giver's gain philosophy. And it was so funny because when I first started interacting with this gentleman, I was applying the principles and so was he. So I was like, hey, tell me about you. Tell me about your business. How can I help you? What kind of things do you like to do? How can I be of service to you? And then he'd come back and say, well, enough of me. Tell me about you. And so we kind of got caught in the giver's side where, it was kind of funny. We joked about it afterwards. But you want to get to that state where you're completely disconnected with the outcome.
Yeah.
Again, it's in all the relationship marketing shows we've done over the previous weeks, we've interviewed some incredible business owners. It's being intentional with your relationships. It becomes business becomes life, not just business, but life in general becomes about relationships, period.
Well, life becomes about relationships. So as promised, you've been listening in on a conversation between two amazing innovators of our time, Kody Bateman of Send Out Cards and Ivan Misner of Business Networking International. And I hope you took notes on the 24/7/30 formula and are thinking more about relationships, not sales, because today people just simply hate being sold to. And if you would like me to send you the entire interview, just let me know and I'll be happy to. But before we close, let me leave you with this thought. No matter what networking situation you're in, the initial contacts you make or the referrals that you're given are cold leads until you implement a system to touch them, to build on that relationship or on that introduction. This interview, I hope, either confirmed that you're practicing just the right approach or that you need to make some adjustments. Thankfully, Send Out Cards can be an integral piece of the puzzle. And luckily, you have me or the person who shared this video with you to go over the different ways you can get your system set up. The reason I say this is when I was new in real estate as a part-time agent years ago, I was disappointed my first year. I had 0 sales. And around that time, I was introduced to Send Out Cards. And by the first quarter of my 3rd year, I had referred $2.3 million in real estate to my brokerage using no other noticeable practice except showing gratitude to others with my Send Out Cards system. Next week, we're going to go into how one particular small business person uses his Send Out Cards phone app to thank his customers and how it's changed his life. And how about I leave you with a challenge? Go out into the world with no expectation except to have a role in someone else's story. Take the time. The rewards will come. Thank you so very much for taking the time to listen. I hope you found value in the interview. And be sure to subscribe so that you get the notice on the next interview next week. Thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.